I guess the first thing I was going to talk about with you guys tonight is the wonderful world of Snow White, which, my God, that is a story that just will not die. It's like a fire that's become self-sustaining, you know. Partly, I guess, because there's not a huge amount of news coming out of Hollywood, and all these like old interviews that Rachel Zegler has done have now begun to resurface. And well, for your delectation this evening, gentlemen, I've produced a little video like with some of the highlights of them. Would you like to see it?
Yes.
Can you stomach it?
No,
right,
but
cool.
We'll see it. Yeah.
We'll do our best.
We'll try.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be.
What are you talking about? What character is she talking about?
I genuinely don't understand what's happening at this point. Like, she dreams of becoming a leader. Like, there's people in life who lust after power and leadership, and they're not good people.
Yeah. It's like when it reminds me of the drinking game, where you just take a shot every time another movie comes out, and they explain that she's not saved by a prince or a man. She becomes a leader. It's way new and modern. And I'm like, how many times are you going to do that? It doesn't really feel new and modern anymore. They've been doing it for every movie since 2012, it seems like.
Yeah, it really feels like an old-fashioned talking point. Like, this is the kind of thing that would hit home, like, in 2016.
Yeah.
When all this stuff was just coming to the forefront. Now it's so tired and played out. It's like they're working from an old playbook from a different era.
It's a very localized playbook, though. It's very American. Like, over here, we've had queens for centuries. It's not new. So you're like, oh, well, we'll have our first ever queen. It's like, yeah, that's what happens. You know what one of the primary duties of theirs is? They have kids so they can pass on the royal bloodline. And you're like, well, it doesn't really matter as long as she's got power. Yeah, then the royal family dies, then there's no one to pass down the lineage to, and then you have a war. That's not a good thing.
And the thing is, like, she didn't earn any of this power. It's literally hereditary. Like, that's the point of a monarchy. And it's like, well, okay, you're not aspiring to a position of power. You're not working hard to improve yourself to get it. It's literally just being given to you because you are the princess. Like, it's fine because it's the underpinning of like so many fairy tales, but like, you shouldn't be proud of it with this character. That's not what she's about.
Aren't we overthrowing the evil, powerful lady in this film?
Well, that doesn't make sense either, because she said now they're changing the meaning of fairest of them all to mean the most just, which means that the only person who's more just than the evil queen is Snow White. Every single other person in the realm is more evil than the evil queen.
Yeah.
It's either that or the evil queen's ultimate ambition is to become the most just person of them all, in which case, what's her motive for action? Because like her motive then is to be a good person. Okay, so you've don't be evil then, so you're fine.
Actually, yeah, that's I've never even thought about that. It's actually more relevant to modern times than anything, because that's what all celebrities do currently, is try to one-up each other on who's more morally just. So it's basically just Hollywood 2023, the movie.
Another self-insert.
Oh my God. It's wild.
Yeah, it's like, this is what happens when you try to bend classic fairy tales around like modern cultural norms and modern like hang-ups. You can't have, say, an older woman, a mother character being jealous of a younger woman's looks, because it's superficial and it's petty. And that's not the sort of thing you can promote in female characters. And so it has to be like, no, she lusts after her goodness. Like, what the fuck are you even trying to tell us here? Like, what is this moral message that you're going for? Like you say, if you want to be good, okay, fine, just be a nice person. And you're going to be the fairest of them all in that case.
It seems like they see these stories as just sort of a collection of actions and events that happen. And so because they don't look at the morals that underpin it all, they will change one event and they don't realize the knock-on consequences that you have to change. And so once you change this thing, it either doesn't make sense or you have to change everything else about the story in order to try and make it make sense. And they're just not good enough to... You're essentially creating an entirely new property, which is not what no one wants. So they end up in an inevitable catch-22. Because that's what's happened in Wheel of Time. They've changed some of the basic things that just ruin the entire story. And I think they've done that with this when they're like, when you're changing the meaning of the actual, like the word fair, you have to change everything else because you don't have any other point to make.
It also misses the point that, the queen in the original lusting after beauty is a bad person for doing that. So there's no point changing it because you think people shouldn't be just judging girls by their appearance. That was part of the moral message of the original story. The thing that makes Snow White distinct from the queen is that she also lusts for love and, good things as opposed to simply beauty and covetousness and material possession. It's what makes her a hero as opposed to a villain. Whereas the one they seem to be building up here, maybe it's deliberate. Maybe all of these interviews are like very subtly preparing the audience for a bold reimagining in which Snow White is the villain and the queen is the hero. And actually, like Rachel Zegler is in character all the way through this. That would be believable. I don't imagine that is what they're doing, but it wouldn't be out of place if that is what they've been working on.
I mean, when it comes to like how to endear yourself to an audience, wow. I don't know what to say.
She has this same attitude in Grease interviews. So this is just her.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I've tried to cut her some slack, like particularly in the video I made just recently. It's like, okay, she's only 22 and like sometimes we say silly things and you can get a bit swept up in the drama and the attention and everything. But yeah, man, it seems to be a real pattern of behavior. Like exactly like you said, like she was talking exactly like this when she was doing Grease. This is just her personality, I think.
Yeah,
she comes across as a very arrogant, snooty, self-righteous person.
I've met this girl several times, Drinker, and what happened was, all throughout her life, her peers and people that want to impress her or whatever tell her that she's extremely funny and witty. Mm-hmm. So when she goes into these interviews, she's leaning into that. But what she doesn't realize is all these yes men that have been saying that for years were actually just saying that for ulterior motives. And she actually sucks. So now we get to see it, without a filter. And she is just awful. And it's the faces she makes, the pure detestment in her voice, even if she doesn't mean it.
Yeah, we're going to get a little bit more of that. I'll play the rest of the video. Just shout out if you want me to pause it.
It was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
Did you notice that, like, when she said it was made 85 years ago, she actually rolled her eyes? I don't know if you guys spotted that.
Because anything that's that old has to be shit. Like, there's no way it could be good, right?
Of course, yeah.
It's like, who's in power? And it's like, you mean a woman in this story? Like, why? She looked at it as like, the evil was in power. Like, what?
It's these people. They're. It's an entire subset of people that absolutely hate everything that came before them. It's all looked at as in a negative light. Even though, to be fair, kind of unrelated, men and women have got along since the beginning of time for us. Yet just recently, everything that came before us is so evil and awful and looked at in a negative light for some strange reason.
I think they have a misconception as well of like how women in these different historical eras were treated. Like they weren't chained to a sink and like beaten every day of their lives. Like there was plenty of women who had power. It just manifested in different ways. They might not have been at the head of armies, like charging across battlefields and stuff and beating up guys in that simplistic, childish way that like they want to see nowadays in movies. But they were more than capable of influencing people around them. It was just done in a more subtle way.
Yeah,
that's the difference. But they don't understand that because they can't conceptualize anything beyond their own lives.
Exactly. And it's what they fail to realize is men and women work together in a good capacity to get to the point that we're at. We had to, right? But it's always seen as in a negative light for some strange reason. And it's probably because they've never left this tiny little bubble, hearing how great they are and how evil everybody else is.
Well, yeah, but their modern narrative requires that, right? So if you're, let's say you are Rachel Zegler's age and her sex and you have her career, and you're living up growing up in incredibly safe, stultifying, boring times with no real possibility for achieving social change because everything you believe is kind of already existing.
Yep.
How do you then mark yourself out? How do you stake for yourself a position which they can call brave, bold, and radical? Well, it's by pretending effectively that the past was much more oppressive than it is. Ergo, there is more work that must be done. Ergo, I can be a leader and not just another generic-looking actress with not very much talent to my name.
Yep. I think it's the same mentality as the perpetual war from George Orwell's 1984, where it's like you always have to see another enemy. Like it doesn't matter how many times you win, the enemy is always there and has to be combated again and again. Because if you don't have that, then you've nothing to motivate yourself and everyone else around you. And so that's the same thing.
It can never be that you're making a movie just for fun, to entertain people, and to tell a good old-fashioned story that's been successful with so many different audiences. No, it had to be like, there's something important we're achieving here. You have to understand that.
Well, you know what's interesting is like, because I pointed this out in my video that I did just yesterday. It's like with most of their other remakes, they were fairly respectful to the original. You know, they sang its praises and they said like we're doing this live action remake. We're very excited about it to bring this classic story back for a modern audience, but they were relatively coy about the whole like, oh, we have to change this and that and the other thing because it's not suitable for audiences today. Occasionally it would creep in, but generally they played it fairly cool. Whereas with Rachel, this is a straight up attempt to like assassinate the original. And I don't know if this is her going off script, or I don't know if this is the bullet points that she was given by the studio. But it's just the tone of it is so different from their attitude towards every other remake they've done.
Yeah, it's like Leonardo DiCaprio going on a media tour in 1998 or 1999 and being like, yeah, I hate Titanic. I hate everybody that built the Titanic. They were all really stupid. The technology really hurt the environment, and we're going to change it to make it fit modern times. And also, I hate everybody that was on that ship, and I'm glad.
The Titanic only crashed because there wasn't a woman in charge. It would have survived if there had been.
There's probably been suggested somewhere.
It was a ship of white supremacy.
The iceberg was male, so I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I think with Stephen Amell, when he spoke out against like the union strikes and they crushed him within days, and now he's on the picket line just days later, you saw the impact and effect that people can have when you speak out against it. So she said this for so long and so often, I don't think that it could be anything other than endorsed by the studio itself, especially when she used to say, oh, I'm a huge Disney fan. I used to love it. And now it's like, I only watched it once. I hate it. I was scared of it and it needs to change. I think... Because there is a problem if you're going out there and saying that you love the first movie, but you're also releasing something that changes everything about it. That doesn't really work either. So you have to come out and start speaking out all these problems that you have to fix with it to even make sense in the first place.
Yeah.
So the first statement was about as authentic as Leslie Headland going like, Star Wars literally saved my life. Like, did it fuck, you arsehole?
But there was a reaction when they said, do you love Disney movies? And she's like, yes. And it seemed like a reaction that it did seem genuine in that kind of thing, because it was a bit of a weird squeak more than a thought about response. And so I think she does like Disney movies in themselves, which, if anything, I think this inherent contradiction that she's got between herself, something that she enjoyed when she was a kid, combined with something she's been taught as she's got older, it's probably difficult. Like, she may not have even thought about it at this point.
Oh yeah, never underestimate these people's capacity for like cognitive dissonance and things like that. Yeah. So it's perfectly possible. And we hear it all the time. People who say, yeah, it's such an honor to be playing this role. It's great that people can finally see them represented in this role. So, well, but you didn't need to aspire to play the role, did you? So why do they need to see you representing them on their behalf in a role that you didn't require representation to inhabit, etc.? I don't think actors are particularly thoughtful creatures. This one certainly isn't.
No. It's
let's hear a little bit more about what she has to say, because this is her thoughts on being on the picket line and being on strike.
There are 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess. I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
But it's
yeah. So
where's the money coming from? If streaming
the best comparison I saw for this kind of thing was like a carpenter who builds a kitchen table saying, well, I should be paid every time someone eats a meal on that table.
Yeah.
Like, that's not how it works.
All I can see is the contrast. When I was in an Uber leaving Houston, and we went through this underpass that was a few blocks down from the actual convention center. And there was probably 200 homeless people like under this underpass, and we were passing down it. And then right past it was just this fence, this like chain link fence that had political ads all over it of like, elect me, elect me, elect me, elect me. And it's just this giant contrast. You have people saying, I was in a dress for a couple hours a day. I should be paid for the rest of my life for being in that dress. And then you have people in the streets that are like, man, I would love a cheeseburger right now. It's wild.
Well, I mean, even taking it back to her own industry, right? They're like 99% of actors are living paycheck to paycheck. Like they are the bulk of the workforce, where they're not making crazy money. They're not headlining big budget movies. They are just getting by, those are the people who are suffering during this strike. And those are the people who are trying to fight for better terms. And those are the people I can kind of get behind, because it's like you do get screwed over in some ways. And if you are worried about, like, say, your likeness just being taken once and then duplicated using AI and you never get paid for it, yeah, that's really shit. And you should definitely fight against that sort of thing. What they don't need, though, is a girl like this who's headlining a Disney movie. It's probably like a couple $100 million. She's probably getting paid several million for her efforts on this. She is making more from this one movie than most actors will make in their entire careers. And she's bitching about like having to get paid for every time the movie gets shown. No, fuck off.
Yeah, it's a tricky one as well. It's certainly for the rest of the industry, because of course it's not just the actors, it's also the writers, and in public perception the strikes do tend to be bound up together, since they are striking largely in solidarity with each other. And just imagining yourself as a legitimately underpaid like staff writer for a studio, and you're thinking, on the one hand, wouldn't it be great if we got a bit more publicity? Wouldn't it be great if we had someone with star power come and take up our cause? And then down the road, flouncing down the road, comes Rachel Zegler, and you think, oh shit, God, no, please, anybody else. I'd rather not have publicity now, thank you.
That's all you hear. Like when the strike first started rolling, all of a sudden you'd see articles from all these extremely well-known celebrities in like tattered fake clothes, acting like they're living paycheck to paycheck, which completely destroyed the public perception like that people had for it before. Because you have all these people that are like, oh, now I can only drink 6 martinis a day instead of 8. Like I can't get by. I'm selling my house, my $25 million house, and having to downsize into a $21 million house, and it just doesn't speak to normal people at all.
No, like, well, I think Disparu, in your latest video, you pointed that guy who's got like a $2 million mansion, essentially, who's like, I missed one paycheck, and so I have to sell it. It's like, that's not you being hard up. That's just you having shit financial planning.
Living beyond.
Because if you're making enough money to buy $2 million houses, like, yeah, you clearly are making a lot of money. You're just spending it all.
Yep. And if you did have like liquidity problems and you had to sell your house and now you got $1.4 million, people still aren't going to feel sorry for you. Just buy a cheaper house. Like, that's what most people have to do. But I think when it comes to residual, there are industries where this is the norm. If you take like comedians and stuff, they have the gate when they go to actually perform at a place, or they can get paid up front. And it's about risk. Do you want to put all the risk up front and then you take a cut of the profits, or do you have no risk and get paid up front, and then whatever the upside is, if you happen to be popular, is done via that just goes to the place which is hosting you. When actors, they want both. They want a big paycheck up front, so they have none of the risk, and then if it flops, I don't really care because I'm going to get residuals if there is any anyway.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. They're not confronting the studios like they're business partners, or like it needs to be fair on both sides. It is, if we don't act for you, your entire industry dies, so we've got you over a barrel. I don't think you can negotiate on those terms. If anything, you make the other people want to get rid of you, and with AI on the like the precipice of coming forwards, you're just going to push them into those.
Golden Spider Dog made a really good point here, saying 98% of actors, and the actors for whom this strike actually matters, are not celebrities. It's a huge miscalculation to put celebrities front and center. Yep. It really is, because I'd much rather hear from actors who are literally living paycheck to paycheck, and like, okay, tell us like what you actually earn from like doing one episode of a TV show or something. And how much you get screwed over with this kind of thing. I would have so much more sympathy and understanding for people like that than people like this.
Yeah. The rates are all public. That's the thing. And so they can't really do that. you have the people who are in the front of the camera saying lines, and then you've got the background actors. But then you get into if you're doing a TV show,
you've got
like
agents
Squid Game,
who negotiate you with different rates and stuff. Like it's not. It's
well, yeah, but
not
the
set
strike
in
will be
stone.
about the minimums.
Possibly. But I think even just understanding what your average actor, your day player actor who make up the bulk of the industry earns would help a lot of people to understand what these guys are striking for.
I can get the rate sheet if you want.
But then Mark Ruffalo walks out there and makes it about him. And then it ruins everything, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I mean, Rachel, again, like when you saw that clip there, she was talking about like herself and how she should be paid more for what she does. It's like, no, if you were going to help, if you really were interested in helping, you would say, like, I'm just here in solidarity with these people. Like, I'm doing fine, but like a lot of these guys are really struggling. Like, let's try and get a better deal for them.
Yeah,
that's it. You don't have to make it about you.
100%. She should have never mentioned herself. And she should immediately mention everybody that's actually disenfranchised by this. But her entire 22 years of life had only been about herself. So I don't think she would even know how to do that.
There's also nothing that I'm aware of that prohibits the particularly wealthy actors who want to show their support and solidarity with the strike from like engaging in some kind of private salary sacrifice arrangement, for example. Mark Ruffalo doesn't need to turn up and say, hey, this is all about me and how unjust I find this. He could say, well, I'm worth several tens of millions of dollars and I've just finished X project. So I will be willing to, top up the wages of striking people for as long as it takes because I'm never going to be out of work, but these people might be out of a job and out of a house. So there are other ways to be a moral agent without being front and center of the protest, but actors are not very good at doing that.
What works better? Is it the clout from Twitter or is it giving your money away?
Well, I don't think it matters because it's clout from Twitter isn't getting anything because nobody is supporting them. And the more you appear out of like whack with the normal person on the street, the less they're going to support you. They're trying to play like a perception game with the studios, but they're calling on the CEO, oh, you're making all this money more than me. You should sacrifice some of your money. But then you've got the guy on the street who's that far away from the actor as the actor is away from the CEO. It's like, well, why don't you do it with the people below? You've got the guy from Breaking Bad going, we are union until the end. It's like, well, okay, are you going to, you did Breaking Bad. You must have a lot of money. Are you going to give any of that? No. We're a union, right, until it affects me, and then I'm going to vanish like Batman.
We mean them, not me. Them.
Yeah.
I aim that at Bob Iger. Thank you very much.
Let's see what else she's got to say.
It's really not about the love story at all, which is really, really wonderful. And whether or not she finds love along the way is anybody's guess until 2024. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows?
Look at her face. Just look at her face.
I know. Look at that. It's like that's like close up for a little funny, eyebrow raise there.
But I wish it was 1950 right now.
But yeah, like she's talking about like begrudgingly acknowledging that like there might be a love story to it, but like who wants that? Who wants to get with another person? Who wants to be chained to them when you can be powerful, when you can lust after power and leadership? That's all that matters now. What horrible, like heartless, cynical view of life and humanity if that's what you're preaching in your movie.